should be good to go. Yeah. Hey guys, I'm Ray. We are streaming blacksmithing. Let me get my headphones on real fast so I don't have to yell as loudly. Welcome to the stream today. Hello, hello. As you can see, the forge is already on. Our steel is already in, cooking, getting hot, getting ready for us to use. Today we are under a heat advisory again. We have recently been under a heat advisory for quite some time, but it is already starting to get really, really warm in here today. So I will be streaming for as long as I can stand the heat. I've got, all my normal precautions, all of the ventilation, all of the fans going. But we are going to, and so I am going to be streaming for as long as I possibly can, but there is a chance that we will be ending stream a little bit early or just to make sure that I can stay hydrated and healthy. Yeah, so today I'm feeling pretty decent. I still got a little bit of I think I'm just gonna have a little bit of sinus for a while now because it's just I cannot seem to kick it. So I don't know. Eventually we'll cook it out. Otherwise, I don't know. But I feel energized. I feel pretty normal aside from the sinus stuff. So the plan today is to finish forging our axe head. So we are going to be spending some time working on thinning out the blade. Kind of shaping it up and cleaning it up so it's as smooth as possible, as close to forge finish as possible. We are going to be doing a little bit more work expanding the eye of this axe. We're going to go all the way down this drift, then we're going to pick up the other drift and we'll probably go down at least a little bit. We aren't going to need quite as big of an axe eye as this guy. Because we are only making a hand axe at this point. We just don't have the material to make a big old two-handed splitter, so it's kind of just like, maybe like a camping axe or something like that. Just a hatchet. It is still going to be for, splitting pieces of wood and stuff. Maybe something more useful for, like, making kindling. I don't know. So that is the plan. I will be spending a little bit of time tomorrow and Friday grinding. Hey, Mahalo, welcome to the stream. Hello, hello. And yeah, so my goal is to have this axe finished and handled by Friday, which is the deadline for my contest. Our Instagram monthly blacksmithing challenge contest. It kind of got pushed out another 2 weeks. So we now have a month and a half for this month's project and for next month's project. So we will be ending that project in, I think, November? No, it would be the end of September, which is good because we also have Quad State. And I'm happy to say that I am officially going to be attending Quad State. I have permission from the board, and also the butler has the time off, so we are going to Quad State. It is a given at this point. I do still need to send out a few more emails to kind of see if I can't get in touch with some of the artists. We do have an ad break going on right now, so once we are finished with that, I will continue kind of talking a little bit about what's going on today. And then we'll get started hammering the axe. I suppose we're only really having an ad break on Twitch, not on YouTube. So I don't know how that works. We'll see. All right, what does this say? Average view duration is 27 seconds. Oh, okay. That's on YouTube. All right, that makes sense. Hey, Shelly, welcome to the stream. Hello, hello. Oh, welcome, everybody. I'm super excited to be here today. I am just a little bit warm, The heat is not, but I mean, at least At least I have power. At least I was not north of where I am in Indiana, Ohio, and like the Chicagoland area. So I will talk a little bit about that later on once this ad is over. Because yeah. Alrighty. Let's see. Okay, so it looks like the ad break is ending about now. So I'm going to continue. So yeah, yesterday there was a series of tornadoes and 100-mile-an-hour winds much more north than I reside. I was fine, you know. It was a lot more north. Even my family was okay. I don't think they got affected. But Indiana, Ohio, and a little bit of the Chicago area got hit hard. There are entire counties of Indiana that are without power right now. So I know that some of you guys may be from Indiana. I know a lot of people, you know, that continue to watch from like when I posted the Indiana conference videos. So let us know if you guys are all right and if there's anything that we can do to help you guys out. Yeah, that's not cool. So, yeah. So we will be attending Quad State this year. Like I said, I got official permission and we have the time off. So we will be packing up on the weekend of September 25th through the 26th. So we will not be streaming on that 25th of September. We will not be streaming that Monday, which I believe would be the 28th, because I'll need a recovery day. But we will be live on the 26th from Quad State. Just like we do the conferences this spring, we will also be at Quad State live on site. And I hope that I have lots and lots of people to talk to and things to show you at the conference. I have heard that Knott's hubby will be there, and he wants to do some stuff together. So maybe we'll like make a hammer together or something. I will keep you guys posted on that. Any plans that we're able to get together for that. But if any of you guys are going to Quad State as well, please do let me know. I would love to meet you guys. I'd love to shake your hand and, you know, say hi. So yeah. Today is Wednesday. That means I have posted a brand new video on my YouTube. That video this week is my experience at the AACV alone. It's a little cut and dry. It's not amazingly like fluffy where, you know, I put a lot of emotion in it. I did a lot better when I was kind of filming a vlog kind of thing for the IBA conference. So I'm learning as I go, trying to come up with like a trip video, kind of wrap up for, you know, what we were up to. My next video, like I said, IBA, I did a little bit better on that. So that one will come out on a week from today, so next Wednesday. And that will be my very last video from our series of conference videos. So I'm super excited. We get to go and I get to start editing our own content, our own projects. I'm super excited about that. One last thing, we are still having I still have creator drops active right now. If you watch for 6 hours, that's a little less than 3 streams, or if you subscribe or gift a sub, there are 2 different creator drop icons for you guys, Smithy icons, and I would love to see you guys put those on your names. I'd love to see those out there. So yeah, and that is on Twitch. So those of you who are on YouTube and are interested in watching on Twitch, you know, the link should be in the description. So yeah, that's kind of where I've got, you know, my kind of my housekeeping sorts of things. for the day. Let's take a look at our steel. It's still a little bit on the orange side, so I'm going to turn up the forge just a little bit. And hopefully it'll be nice and hot so we can start working shortly. So how are you guys today? Were any of you guys affected by the derecho, or is anybody out on the East Coast in the United States or in the continental Europe, like the European Union area, and able to see the eclipse today? I was watching a little bit of, there was a live stream over on Facebook, and I was kind of watching it, and I could see a little bit of the eclipse. I wasn't sure if I was too late or too early for the eclipse to see the total eclipse. But yeah, I was watching a live stream earlier on Facebook. It was kind of interesting. I'm on the north side of the weather. It's just warm and muggy here. I watched the eclipse on the NASA channel. Yes. I think that the channel I was watching was an individual's live stream, but they did have like filters and stuff, so it was like a nice orange, so we weren't, watching like some amateur where it's like you only see the little pinhole or whatever. So yeah. The last time we had a total eclipse that was visible in my area was in, what was it, 2018, I think. I think it was 2018. And it was on my birthday, and it was my very first day at Jared. Hey, Blue Red, welcome to the stream. So yeah, my very first day, I filled out all of my W-4 and my tax information and, all my hiring paperwork. And then I had brought my welding helmet and a pair of eclipse glasses. And so on our break, we went out and we started watching the eclipse. It was a fun first day, everybody was all excited to see it. It's always fun to see a total eclipse. I also heard, did anyone else hear that there's supposed to be a 7-second blip in gravity, and that we just aren't supposed to have gravity for like 7 seconds or something? I thought that was kind of very strange. I'm not sure that I believe that sort of conspiracy theory, and I'm certain that this is not the place I want to be if that were to have occurred. But yeah, that's another one of those weird things that I saw on Facebook today, that is just supposed to have a blip in gravity. It does sound like hogwash. I think it definitely sounds like hogwash. And I mean, I haven't felt any lighter or anything, so, I think it's just one of those things that people who, the tinfoil hat people, or maybe, maybe it hasn't happened yet and we'll see it on stream. That'll be kind of crazy, if that were to occur. But we'll have to see. We'll have to see if that happens. Like I said, it is extremely hot today, very muggy. So hopefully we can stream a little bit longer. I do have 2 water bottles full of cold water, so that should keep me pretty cool and hydrated. I would hate to see the near equator if gravity went away for only 7 seconds. You would be launched at around 1,000 miles per hour. I feel like if I was launched at 1,000 miles per hour, I would probably instantly pass out and I just wouldn't feel it, right? But I mean, there's also the whole idea of maintaining speed, right? So that's kind of why we don't fly off the Earth anyway. I mean, in addition to gravity, there's also the conservation of motion, matter in motion, the laws of physics in that way. So I mean, you're maintaining your forward velocity, but you don't have the gravity holding you down. There's high jumping ATVs at the fair tonight. They're defying gravity, I'm sure. What did we miss? We had a bit. Was that a bot or was that an inappropriate statement, Mahalo? I suppose we don't really need to address it. I guess I can just go look it up later, but hopefully it wasn't too bad. Dumb bot. Okay. See, that's better. At least it's not something inappropriate, you know? All right, let's check out the steel. It looks a little bit orange, but I'm going to do our first heat anyway. It's a little bit on the cold side for those of you who are, you know, paying attention. Let me move my welding glove. So we're going to do that. And then that. And then. Actually, I think I'm going to move that there. Let's pull this steel and see what we can do with it. Like I've been talking about earlier this week, we are cooling off the thin sections so we don't end up moving the steel in places that we don't want it to move and we don't crack the steel. As usual, our goal is going to be to thin out the blade. So we are going to be moving from the press to the face of the anvil and back again several times, just to kind of thin out that blade, make sure that we get a nice wedge going and a consistent decrease in width, I guess. Focusing primarily on the edge because we've got a pretty thick like end on that, and I want to make sure that it's nice and thin by the end. I don't want to have to grind a lot of material off because it takes a lot of time, and you know, the longer I have to grind, the more I end up I risk a repeat of grinder bites. So today I was watching TikToks, like I do, you know, I'm kind of one of those TikTok people. And there was this girl that came on, and she was talking about how she is a tradesman, and she loves her trade. She loves her job. It's a really great, it's a really great paycheck, and she actually enjoys doing it. But it makes her sad that she can't dress cute and wear makeup and has to wear safety equipment all the time. And I mean, I can get that sometimes, but I totally feel like you can totally dress cute if you want to. There are several people who I think are out there blacksmithing, and they're dressing pretty cute. I mean, there's probably a few places, you know, maybe if you are working in like a welding shop and you have like a uniform or whatever, but you know, there's nothing that says you can't dress cute underneath of your, you know, your welding gear or your safety equipment. You know, you can dress cute if you want to. Unless, I mean, like I said, unless you've got like a uniform you have to use. But even then, I mean, you can have it tailored to you a little bit more. I think that that's kind of, you know, I think if you want to dress cute, you should be able to dress cute, even in a trade or in a blacksmith shop. You know, we've got a couple of, like Anvil Anna, she dresses pretty cute, and she's a blacksmith and a farrier, and you know, there's a couple others out there. So I don't know. I mean, I tend not to dress cute, but you know, I think you could if you wanted to. I just thought it was kind of interesting, you know. I don't like that I can't dress cute at my job. I think that's a mindset. How about you guys? Would you dress cute if you could, you know, at your own jobs? Maybe that's not a thing that guys do, you know, dressing cute. Let's turn up the forge again. It's taking a little bit longer than I want it to heat up the forge. So yeah, I dress however I feel like in the shop, you know. Right now I have a Taylor Swift shirt on. A couple days ago I had a Pink Kitty shirt on when I was out here in the shop. I think those are kind of cute shirts. It's real cute when you drop a hammer or a chunk of steel on your fancy sandals. See, that's like I said, that you can only wear cute clothes under your safety equipment, right? You don't want to wear boots, or you know, you want to wear boots in the shop. Although I have heard Lexi say that she wears sandals in the shop. She probably doesn't tend to drop things on her foot though. Not like I do. I definitely would not come out into the shop without my steel toes. But I also very much like taking heavy equipment and heavy just things, pieces and things like that, and resting them on my toe caps. Not anything like too terribly heavy, because I mean, you know, the toe caps are only rated for so much pounds per square inch or whatever of pressure before they start to crush themselves. But you know, it is really nice if I'm trying to move my anvil, if I just like, you know, tilt it forward and rest it on my toe cap until I'm ready to get that nice handhold underneath of it. Shorts and tank tops. Maybe that's what I should wear out in the shop, but no, it's not what I'm gonna wear out in the shop. I like the pants and, you know, the aprons and things personally. But sometimes I do wear cute shirts underneath of it. All right, what do we got? I think we're hot enough. We're still a little on the cold side in comparison to what we will be a little bit later on in the stream, but I'm going to do another heat anyway. right, so I think we're going to take a couple more heats over on the face of the anvil. We're going to really start working on this tip, but I really want to try and smooth out the transition between the area for the eye and that blade area. So we are going to use the anvil face and a little bit of the horn. We've got some of that French fry ripples along those edges. We're going to take care of that. I went to an Ozzy Osbourne concert in 1981 in San Diego. I bought a Blizzard of Oz shirt a couple years after Randy Rhoads was killed. I wore it and someone yelled, "Remember Randy Rhoads." Makes sense. Makes sense. Yeah, I don't have a lot of band shirts. My sister got me this Taylor Swift shirt, so like, I don't end up going to a lot of concerts. Not that I didn't want to go to concerts, it's more like, you know, having the ability to get the time off and the money to get tickets. You know, some of those concerts are ridiculously expensive, especially these days. I have seen a few really cool concerts though. Papa's 37, welcome to the stream. Hello. The only concert I have been to was with you. Yeah, we went and saw Nickelback together. Yeah, for a long time, that was really the only concert that that was notable that I had ever seen. But I went to the Eras tour, and I went to see Noah Kahan. And those are really, you know, that Nickelback. I was there when Britney Spears was at the Mark of the Quad Cities back in the day. It was kind of cool. I can't go to concerts now. Noise is overwhelming for my one ear that can't hear. I mean, that makes sense, you know. When I go to a concert, I use concert earplugs. So they're basically earplugs that have like little, a small area that allows sound through. And they actually work pretty good. I can't really hear precisely when I'm at a concert and there's that much ambient noise coming at me. But with those concert earplugs, I'm able to listen to music pretty well. I can't go to any concerts anymore. I can't see paying hundreds of dollars for the ticket plus all the extra fees. I remember whining about paying $20 to see Jethro Tull. Oh. Safety meetings. Hey, Knots. Gotta go to them safety meetings, especially, you know, if you're the one holding them, you know. I don't know that you're the one holding them, but you know, it's important. Safety is important. It would have been awesome seeing Ozzy early on, but I think that's where it's at. Yeah, like I said, I haven't really been to that many concerts, but my sister's really into going to concerts, and that's how I ended up going to see Noah Kahan and Taylor Swift, because she really wanted to see them, and so I went to. Safety third always. I mean, as long as you can get your work done, you know, safety third. I'm the reason there's safety meetings. Are you? Do you have do you have a rule that's written based on your actions, or are you the HR person? Or maybe OSHA? Are you OSHA? Don't watch my stream if you're OSHA. I have probably several violations here and there. I do have several fire extinguishers around the shop that are relatively easy to get a hold of. There's one over there. I think there's one right there. Not HR or OSHA, but they are not my people. Hey Ping, welcome to the stream. Oh, I noticed your little new icon. Twitch has I read that Twitch has a new moderator Discord and like club, I think. Is that what that's from? Are you in the Discord moderator club? Have you ever had any scares about fire? I have had a couple of fire scares here and there. Usually it's because I've done something a little bit crazy. One time I I didn't have my plumber's torch. I didn't have any gas in it. And so I tried to use matches to light my forge. And I couldn't get my matches to stay lit long enough for me to light the forge. So I lit a piece of paper on fire and stuck it in the forge, right? And that's why I don't do this anymore, is that when I turned on the gas, it immediately lit the forge, but it also blew all of that paper out of the forge. And there was just flaming paper all in the air, and it was kind of scary. So I don't do that anymore. That's a bad thing. Don't do that. I mean, it's fine if you are using a burning paper, you know, like kindling, to light a coal forge. But if you're blasting gas from a gas forge, probably not your best method. Be careful. All right, so we've got an ad starting in about 2 minutes. And once that ad's over, I should be pretty nice and warm enough to do another round of hammering. We're going to do that on the face of the anvil, so I'm going to change the angle of the camera so you guys can see that. But I'll probably wait until the ad actually starts for that. But yeah, I've had a few close calls here and there. Another one that was crazy is there is boiled linseed oil is oftentimes a coating that's used for like handles or, you know, just to seal pieces of wood or metal from rust. Sometimes you can also use it to oil blacken. Do not do that unless you are in an incredibly well ventilated area and you have a mask on, because if you're using boiled linseed oil to create oil blackening, it creates toxic fumes. Don't do that. But I do have linseed oil or boiled linseed oil around, and you can, if you leave a rag laying around, there is a possibility that it will spontaneously combust, and that did happen to me one time. I had just used it to seal a piece of wood that I was using for the top of a table, and I set down the rag, and I wasn't paying close attention, but eventually I smelled a fire. And you never, never, never ignore the smell of a fire in a blacksmith shop. I turned because I smelled it, and that rag was on fire. So I have had a couple of mishaps. However, you know, I've learned from those mistakes, and I'm happy to say that I am pretty darn good. I didn't know that. Yeah, it's actually written on the bottle. If you look in the fine print on bottles of boiled linseed oil, they will give you a cautionary, like, be careful. Rags could spontaneously combust, so don't leave it unattended. So yeah, crazy, right? I have that stuff. Well, if it's inside of the container, it's not going to spontaneously combust. Because when boiled linseed oil. Here, let me finish the story at the ad break. Okay, So boiled linseed oil, the reason that it works, or like how it dries, is it creates a chemical reaction and heat is given off within that chemical reaction. And so if the situation is just right, that heat from that chemical reaction can spontaneously combust, right? And so once that boiled linseed oil is dry on whatever it is on, like, the table, or, the legs or the rag or whatever, once it's dry, it's not going to spontaneously combust. It's just the act of drying. You have to worry a little bit about that spontaneous combustion because of that chemical reaction. So if you are using boiled linseed oil, just be a little bit cautious. Don't leave a drying rag around. Okay. Let's do, oh wait, I forgot to move the camera. Give me just 1 second here. Apologies. So yeah. I actually love boiled linseed oil as a finish for handles on hammers, and as a sealant for most of my furniture. But yeah, you just gotta be careful when you're applying it. Okay, let's do our next heat. All right. All right, we're gonna put this back in the fire. We're gonna heat that back up again and continue working. What we've done this time is we've kind of taken away some of the lumps and bumps for smoothing out that finish. And that's gonna do us pretty decent, except we still have a little bit of thickness here we need to get rid of. So yeah, I think that's what we're gonna continue doing. I wanna take out the lumps on the edges, on the sides. We're going to use the horn for that, though. All right. It is too hot today. Yeah. Where will you get the handle for the axe? So there is a farm supply store down the hill from me. It's probably about 5 miles away from here. And they sell replacement handles for all kinds of tools. They sell like sledgehammer handles, hammer handles. That's where I bought this handle here for the axe. They also have hand axe handles. They also have like post hole digger handles, or shovel handles, and that's where I will get it. It won't cost me too much money, but I don't have the skill to work with wood well enough to like handle this with a handle I've made, so I'm just gonna buy one. It is very hot today. Smack and Metal, how are things going? Things are going pretty good. Things are going pretty good, except just a little bit on the warm side. Also, there was a warehouse fire a couple of miles away from here at about 3 o'clock in the morning, so I think we're all right at this point. But yeah, there were some chemicals in the air, so like a couple miles away, there was like a shelter in place order. So like I said, the order is no longer in place. They've got it under control, but the air quality is a little low today. So we'll see how long I can manage to get this stream to go. Yeah, we have a heat advisory again for today. Been over 100 Fahrenheit in the afternoons for the past couple of weeks. See, we're still in the 80s, but we've got the feels like, because of our humidity, it's been over 100 degrees all week and all last week, really. So I'm fortunate that it's not actively over 100, but with that humidity, it's worse. Yeah, we have an excessive heat warning here too. 82 here. Yeah. Last I checked, it was 88 degrees. So the reason I'm standing over here is because I am in the direct line of the industrial fan that I have going. It is in a direct line for the laptop and then to me. And it also is away from the center area where I'm going to be using the steel. That way it's not actually, blowing directly on my steel and cooling it off. So I'm a little bit off center frame than I normally am, but there's a reason. You gotta stay hydrated too. That's why I'm like reaching for this every 5 seconds. All right. We're going to do another heat, guys. We're going to do another heat. All right, we're going to heat this back up. We're going to hammer a little bit here and then focus in on the edge. And then the heat after that, we're going to start working on those edges, like the top and bottom edge. Seems to be thinning nicely. I think it is too. I had a realization recently that there are islands where I live that are cooler, so I'm thinking of purchasing a place to stay on one or to stay cool in the summer. Ooh. I have always wanted a really nice piece of land. I don't know if I want it to be an island or if I want it to be like just a piece of land, but I've always wanted a nice piece of land to live on. Or at least to have as like a vacation property. It's always been one of my, far off distant dreams to create like an artist commune or like a residency program where artists can come in and work and live and create their art. And so if that's what I would do if I bought a piece of property, like a really big one. Hippies. I'm not quite hippies, I don't think. Because, it wouldn't be like self-sufficient or anything. It'd be like, if I became independently wealthy, they could apply for a grant kind of thing. But I don't think I could do the hippie thing myself, you know. I don't think I could ride a bike to power, you know, my welders and things, you know. I would need amenities, like, you know, flushing toilets and things like that. Yeah, I wouldn't stay in winter, really. I don't know. She does have a van. I do have a van, but it's more like a tent, you know? And I won't go anywhere that I can't, or that there isn't a bathroom, you know? So, like, when I'm camping in like, campgrounds, like RV campgrounds. So they have, like, showers and bathrooms and things like that. And power, I don't do the not, you know, the roughing it. I'm not a person who roughs it. Hippies don't own anything. They squat. I can't hear Eric, or I can hear Eric Cartman in my brain now. Yeah, I don't rough it. I just don't. We may worry if she paints flowers all over the van. We are planning on painting the van eventually, but it's going to be like, we're going to take bed liner, like, you know, the textured bed liner that you put in the back of trucks. And then that's going to be like the bottom half. And then the top half, I think the butler wants to do a solid color and either orange or yellow. Those are kind of hippie colors, but, you know, I think it's just going to be a flat color. And then we've also talked about making a magnet, like a giant magnet, that we can stick on the back, and it's just the Ray's Smithy symbol. I don't rough it either. I could rivet metal flowers all over it, but, you know, I have to be a little bit careful, you know. I want to retain some resale value, you know. All of the things that are in my van, like the modifications that we've done, none of it is permanent. Well, there are two things that are permanent. We have a vent for the AC that we cut a hole in the floor for, and then we did cut a hole in the side of the van for the shore power outlet. But everything else is just bungee corded down in there and ratchet strapped. There is no, we could take it all out tomorrow and sell it, you know, as a regular vehicle. Get yourself a magnetic sign to promote your forge. Yeah, we've been talking about doing that. That's kind of what I was talking about when, you know, making a big old logo to slap on the side. But I don't want it to be on there all the time. You know, I want to be able to take it off when I'm going around my own town and just stick it on there when we're going out to, like, different conferences and stuff, events. When you're done with the van, just leave it parked in an RV camp as an art installation. I mean, maybe. We have talked about if we did buy a piece of property that didn't have a cabin or a building or a house on it, like getting a trailer or something and leaving that there. But I don't think the van is that for us right now. All right. We're definitely not full-time van lifers. We're more like weekend warriors. I need a base of operations. I need a house. All right. It's doing all right. We do have a little bit of a tilt this way. So we are going to have to move. You can kind of see that we're going a little bit that off to the side from that center hole. So we're going to have to fix that. But I think our next heat is we're going to start working on this side, the top and the bottom, kind of smoothing those out a bit. Corwin, thank you so much for your subscription re-up. Hello, I am doing great. A little bit warm though. We're in a heat advisory again, so I'm trying to stay pretty darn hydrated and stay cool. It just feels a lot hotter in here today, even than it did on Monday, and we were still under the same heat advisory, so. So yeah. So you didn't get hit by that derecho, did you? I know you're in Iowa, but I thought you were northern Iowa. I don't know if you got hit by the tail end of it. But I hear Chicago got hit pretty bad. And mostly Indiana, though. I keep seeing TikToks where there are people, like, around buildings, like, waiting to get gas from gas stations that don't have any power. We got a lot of rain this week, but nothing abnormal. That's good. I'm glad. I am glad. Let's see. But yeah, we haven't added anything else since I went to the IBA conference. To the van, but we have been talking about whether we want to add solar or if we want to add a swivel seat. So we might actually do one of the two of those, probably more the swivel seat, before Quad State. I'll have to kind of talk to the butler about the budget. All that corn sweat just circling back, right? My neighbor's jungle might come back before his house sells. Ugh, that's not cool. There are so many houses for sale these days. I just see so many for sale signs in front of houses as I drive around. But yeah, I mean, you gotta, even if you don't live in a house, you gotta take care of the lawn. Hopefully it doesn't get as long as that picture. Because, I mean, that's not going to make it easy to sell that house, right? I remember before we lived in this house, we lived in a house a couple towns over, and we owned both houses for a while. And I remember the butler having to do the lawn here and then also do the lawn at the other house. And it was such a pain in the butt having to go and take care of both lawns. It's hard enough for the butler to take care of this lawn since it's almost 2 acres. But then also to have to go and do the lawn at the other house. We did sell that house. We don't have it anymore. So the butler only has to take care of this lawn these days. It's definitely cheap enough that someone handy could get a steal. $25.99. That would be cool. You know, I might buy a house for $29.99 as long as it, you know, that's not $1,000. It's just like $25, $26. You know, I could hand that over pretty easily. But, you know, I don't think I could pay the property taxes on it, you know. Here in the U.S., you got to buy the house and then pay property taxes, you know. All right, I'm going to change the angle on the camera. We're going to go over to the horn of the anvil and kind of work on the top and bottom faces. And then we're probably probably gonna go and start thinning it out again, like the edges. Again. Make sure that I don't miss focus. I noticed that I missed focus a little bit on some of the shots that I wanted to use for the AACB conference video from this week. I had to artificially focus them up a little bit to make sure I don't have to do that this time. You can only go so far, you know? So this is also how you get your beard if you want to do a bearded axe, when you're kind of shaping up the edges. So you can kind of see that there's a little bit of a curve that's starting to form. So we're going to do a couple more heats and kind of shape that up a little bit, and then we'll continue thinning it up. It's starting to look like an axe, guys. It's starting to look like an axe. Need cash. Exact change, though. So good luck getting those pennies. I'm sure I got some pennies laying around in my house, in my couch cushions. We have a change jar that it's an Oberweis container. There's this milk producer, and they have these like weird glass jars, and they're kind of like rectangular, but they've got like little rounded corners, and they're, like I said, they're glass. So the butler will put all their change in this Oberweis jar, and it's a pain in the butt to get it all out. So we only empty it every so often, like when we're really, you know, looking in the couch cushions for some fun money. Occasionally we will empty it out, and I'm sure there's at least 4 pennies in there. If I hold them long enough, will they be worth something because they don't produce pennies anymore? I figure, you know, maybe. We also have like a piggy jar, like a piggy bank. It's like a little glass one that was the butler's, I think, dad's when he was a little kid. And so there's like probably pennies from like the 40s and 50s in there. Maybe even earlier than that, because it would have been the 40s or 50s when he was loading it up. So it's just full of change in there. Pre-1982 pennies are high in copper. The rest got hot metal junk. Yes, the old school pennies, and even like quarters these days, they have like zinc alloys inside of the coinage. And so yeah, you got to be real careful with those. I remember going in high school, my chemistry teacher, he took some pennies and he stuck them in this chemical. It was like an acid, and it ate away all of the interior of the penny, but it left the copper on the outside. And so when he eventually fished it out, cleaned it up, it was just like the teeny little thin coating from the penny. It still had, like, you know, the heads and the tails impression on it, but it was like copper aluminum foil. That was the consistency of it. Pre-1965 for silver in quarters. Maybe some steel pennies from the 1940s in that jar. There could be. I don't know for sure. But yeah, I do remember, if I remember my history right, they switched to steel because they needed the copper for the war effort. So yeah, I remember. Love Overwise. Are you in Illinois? I am in Illinois. Kinda. I straddle Illinois and Missouri in that area. But yeah, the pennies, the steel pennies. And you guys know that the reason that quarters and many of the higher currency coinage has ridges on the edge, right? Because people used to scrape off the edges of coinage. And so they put the ridges on the edges so they could tell if somebody was skimming the silver off. It's always a fun fact, you know? You have to say it the way, like Illinois is. That is definitely not how I grew up saying my home state. We used to say Illinois. And yeah, a lot of people want to pronounce that extra S, but we never did when I was a kid. And now either, really. I used to live on the border between Illinois and Iowa, in a place called the Quad Cities. But I don't live there anymore either. It's like Florida, yeah, Florida. Or if you're from Boston, you call pizza. There's a lot of weird accents out there. I was born in Aurora. I know where that is. Davenport, Moline, Bettendorf, Silvis. See, when I was a kid, the Quad Cities were Rock Island, Moline, Davenport, and Bettendorf. But Bettendorf has always been contested. Rock Island, Rock Island, Milan, and Davenport have never been contested. But a lot of people are like, oh no, Bettendorf isn't part of the Quad Cities. It's Dubuque or Milan or all these other little towns around. I was in the QC 2 days ago. Yeah, my family lives there. All right, so we've got an ad break over on Twitch. So once that ad break on Twitch is over, we are going to take the steel out. We're gonna shape the edges again. We're gonna get that nice round fluting the curve to create the shape of an axe. I haven't been out there since 2013. I mean, that's a pretty long time. I myself I was in the Quad Cities last year, but I haven't lived in the Quad Cities for quite a while. I don't think I've lived in the Quad Cities since 2008. I haven't lived there since 2010. Yeah, you've been there for a little bit longer than I was. Not much, though. All right. So our ad break is going to end in just a few seconds. So we are going to do our next heat. All right, let's do that. There we go. So this is also kind of where we're going to decide what is going to be the top and what is going to be the bottom of this axe. A lot of times the bottom of an axe is a little bit more curved than the top. So this is kind of where we make that decision. If I take a look at that, I don't think I have much of a difference right now yet. So maybe we'll pay a little bit more attention to that. We are going to thin this out a little bit because I have been kind of hammering on this side. We got a little bit of like lumps and bumps along those edges. We're going to fix those and then we'll come back to the horn and make our decision. It is acceptable to have the curve on both sides. It is acceptable. You know, like I do have a curve on both sides of this one. But I always feel like I want a little bit more of a curve on the bottom. I mean, I don't necessarily want it to be like a bearded axe or anything, but yeah, I don't know. I think that like the curve being a little bit sharper on the bottom looks a little nicer. So that's I mean, I'll try and do that. We'll see if I can make it happen. All right, I am starting to run low on water. I know we just had an ad, but once that water is empty, I'm gonna go and grab my next water just because I need to make sure that I have water always like at hand, because it is so hot. Just said that in case you didn't want to decide right away. Well, thank you for, you know, giving me validation. I appreciate that. I appreciate that. Mine curves. So I try to keep my chat relatively PG. And yeah. So there aren't very many rules in the chat. My two main ones are no politics and no religion. But yeah, I do try to keep things a little bit PG. Quick safety check. Tools are organized and out of the way. No trip or bump hazards. Proper PPE. An apron, ear protection, and eye protection. Hydration concerns are addressed as needed. Also, I have 0 skills in smithing. Overall, no safety concerns. I see you have this hammered out and looking forward to the end result. Well, thank you. I do try to keep safety in mind. I always say, well, I can't say safety first. I do say safety third. As long as I have safety on my mind, I can usually maintain a relative amount of safety while still getting work done. And yeah, I totally understand, but I just wanted to, you haven't crossed the line yet. I just wanted to make sure that you were aware of my couple of rules so it doesn't become an issue. All right. Let's see, what do we got here? All right. So like I said, we are going to spend a little bit of time in the middle of the anvil so that I am going to change the angle of the camera so you guys can see it a little bit closer to the middle. So let's bring this down just a hair. Right. That way we can bring it a little bit closer too. I really like a close angle so you guys can kind of see exactly what's happening. So there's a good angle right there. Alrighty, let's do another heat. All right, so I've kind of straightened that out just a hair. Before we had a lot of a slope this direction, so it's starting to straighten out a little bit. So the next thing that we're going to do is continue working on the face of the anvil and focusing in on that edge, like the very edge. There is a wobble in it, so it will be cut off, but I want to make it as thin as possible. So I think we can get a little bit more thin. I appreciate your understanding. This beat is horrid. How's the fella to dance, or how's a fella to dance to this? It's probably a little bit slow for an EDM beat. I usually are not the best EDM beats, in my opinion, are about 180 beats per minute, and I'm probably closer to like, I don't know, maybe like 40. So you might have a little bit of trouble from my live streams, but you know, there's always speeding it up in post-production later on if you're, you know, looking to do some EDM stylings with the hammering. Trance and joy. Yes, I love my EDM. My preference is more trance and kind of like airy stuff. But, you know, I love the classics like, you know, Armin van Buuren and, you know, Daft Punk. I love my EDM. I missed a thing too. It's more of a waltz. It is kind of more of a waltz. You're right. But yes, I love EDM. I have a little bit of ADHD, and so the really heavy bass lines in EDM really help me focus when I really start struggling with like editing and like focusing in on stuff that's not fun, you know? So, yeah. I mean, there's always Lo-Fi Girl if I need it, you know? All right, I am out of water in this container, so I'm gonna go and grab another one. I have one already prepared in the fridge, so it'll just take me a couple minutes, or a minute. So give me just 1 second. Hopefully I don't blast your ears with the door this time. Door that I close. All right. I think I'm all right. I think I didn't blast you guys out. All right, we're back. How is this water bottle so cold and the liquid inside so warm? I don't know. All right, how we doing on this tank of propane? It's starting to get kind of low and it's starting to freeze up a little bit. So here in a few, we'll probably have to switch propane tanks because we are starting to get a little bit on the cold side. Maybe let's do that right now. That way the steel is still baking in there a little bit while I am switching that. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to switch the propane tank. So I'm going to close, or not close the door, but kind of move it so I can pan the camera over and you guys will be able to see me changing the tank. Don't let me forget to pan back to center. All right. We turn off the fours and we turn off the propane. Alrighty. You guys are probably mostly seeing my back now that I'm really thinking about this, but lefty, tighty, righty, loosey. All right. Good to go, no leaks. Okay. See if I can actually get this lit the first time this time. Ooh, I was having trouble earlier today when I lit this the forge initially, and it looks like I'm probably going to be having some more issues. Oh, come on. Come on. There we go. See if we... All right. Fine. I give. There we go. Oh, come on. Fine. I try to do it the right way because I don't want it to explode on stream. And it does not want to. So that is a brand new, I mean, the torch bottle probably is running low. Now that I think about it, I don't think I've ever changed that torch bottle since I started streaming. So it probably is low, but then I only use it to light the forge. So, you know, it's not like, I don't really pay that close of attention to it. So maybe it is. It's been a while, like I said. But I thought it was because the fan was blowing in this direction, so I thought maybe, you know. Let me move the fan a little bit closer to where it was before so it can keep me and my laptop cool. I just used the torch starter to start my forge. I mean, I like maintaining, you know, the hair on my arm. You know, if I turn on the gas, you know, and I just light it using the sparker, sometimes it takes a little bit and the flames jump out at me a little, so I'm a little more cautious. And normally, like, if I'm not streaming, I'm being a little bit more cavalier. Sometimes if it's already been lit and the inside of the forge has yet to cool down, I'll just turn on the gas and the bricks will light it. But usually it creates a really loud popping sound because it's kind of exploding to life. So I try to do things the proper way when I'm on stream, because I don't condone doing things the wrong way. Because safety. Yeah, why is this so warm? So weird. Okay. We did not lose that much heat from changing the bottles, so we should be able to very shortly start hammering again. So that's a good thing. I will probably do a couple more heats on the face, maybe 1 or 2 on the horn, and then I'm going to start opening up the eye again. Once I've thinned out the nose of this axe as much as I possibly can, we will end up grinding out the rest of it, and we'll get a nice shape over the next day or 2 for this axe. Like I said, I do want to have it nice and ground and hung on its handle by Friday so that I can submit it for my contest. They were gracious enough to extend their the challenge for this, or for last month, for July, so that I could participate. So I really want to make that deadline. All right, let's do our next heat. Or I could drop things. I think that's the first thing I've dropped today, guys. Or maybe it's not. I don't know. Okie doke, let's do this. Alright, so we're getting a pretty thin edge there. That's exactly what I want to see. So we're doing pretty good. Let's see if I can't move the edge a little bit closer to center. And I don't know that I'm going to be able to do that right away. I think really what we just need to do is hammer it smooth. Alright, one more heat hammering that smooth, and then we'll go over to the horn to shape those edges one final time, and then after that we're just going to start opening in the eye. It's a little bit on the small side right now, but we've got a pretty good axe-shaped object at the moment. I'm pretty happy with that. Give me just 1 second. I am taking a look at this. I got a notification on my YouTube. I'm trying to figure out what it says. Oh, okay. Okay, it's saying that we are a little bit, we've lost a few frames. So I apologize for that. Seems my internet is being a little bit wavery. Hopefully it evened out. Looks like we're all right now. A bit of instability, it recovered. That's good. That's good. As long as it recovers, I don't feel as bad, you know? But honestly, we are at the very tippy, we are running at the very tippy top of the maximum amount of bandwidth that my internet provider wants to give us. So occasionally, I will have to give them a call and be like, hey, you promised this bandwidth and I expect that bandwidth. We are getting to that point, though, of the year where, because I feel like I have to call them every 6 months to kind of check on my lines. So I am paying attention. Hopefully it's only a little waiver. All right. Hopefully it's a little waiver and not anything else. Okay, so I'm going to move the camera once more. More than once more, but another time this time. So we can focus in on the horn. The horn, the horn. Okay. We'll be pretty good there. Okay. I think we've got enough heat that we should be able to do our next round of hammering. So we're going to do that. We'll do one or two heats on the horn, and then we're going to start opening that eye. Like I said, I'm just trying to kind of maintain shaping. So I have less to grind at the end. Less to grind is always good. All right. I think that's a pretty decent edges. So I think yeah, I think that's what we're gonna do. One more heat, and I think we'll be good. At least on, you know, the shape, the overall shape. We are going to spend a little bit more time opening up the eye, though. But that is grindable. Open another drop. Stream, that is, not the tools. Ugh. Annoying. See, I don't know if it's like my... Let me check my... My CPU is still at 14%, so it must be my internet. But yes, I'm actively dropping a bunch of frames, and it's not recovering right yet. It'd be nice if it did, though. I don't know what else I can do. Thank you so much for that follow, Mippy Troop. I apologize for the craziness that's happening, the lumps and bumps in the streams quality. Hopefully we don't totally drop. Usually we don't. Maybe we will. I don't know. We'll see. We're dropping frames, but we haven't dropped the complete. Okay, it looks like we're going up again. Okay. It looks like we're recovering slowly but surely. All right. So we have an ad that's going to be starting in about 3 minutes. So once that ad is over, we're going to do one more heat on the horn of the anvil, kind of flattening out all of the sides of this axe. When next we work, we are going to be, yes, please do refresh if you don't see the straight stream. We are back. So yeah, we will be doing a little bit of opening up that hole as best as I can. There is a tiny chance that we will crack the back open as we are opening up the eye, because it's relatively thin towards the center. If that happens, I think we still have enough material. I'm going to be cooling down that back, and it shouldn't happen, but it could. Hopefully not. Hopefully not. All right. So yes, Twitch is about to start a round of ads, and once that is over, we'll do our next heat. So yeah. I don't know what time it is. 3:05. So we have about an hour left in the stream, normal duration. So we should have plenty of time to finish up this axe and get it ready to be ground and hung. So that's really exciting. Yeah, so I'm just going to be grinding some material tomorrow, I think, after I do a little bit of editing. I do have a little bit of editing tomorrow. I've got 5 shorts to make, and I have a little bit of stuff that I need to do for Wednesday's video, but I could probably shove that back and finish this axe if I needed to. And that might be the thing to go, or the thing to do. I haven't decided yet. I will decide eventually, though. Probably tomorrow. This workshop setup is sweet. Well, thank you for the compliments. I am in the middle of an ad break, so I'm not entirely sure if you can hear that, but I will repeat that after the ad break ends. All right. So, yeah, we're doing one more in here, so I won't need this right this second. Okay. I should be doing all right. So I've got that ready. I've got that ready. I think I'm okay. I think I'm okay. Now I just gotta write out my ad break. I really hate waiting out ad breaks. It's kind of annoying. Okay. I've got my water bottle over there for like my quench water bottle. I feel like I could totally just like dump it all over me, but except for that, I've got my microphone set up and I don't want to screw it up. That would not be good for my microphone. So thank you so much for the compliments about my setup. I mean, yeah, this is really only half of my, well, not even half of my setup, because I have an entire area of my workshop that's behind the cameras. Then I have this cold room in there where I do all of my grinding and stuff. And I also have a jewelry setup. I've kind of taken over my house a little bit, but this is a nice little backdrop for me to work in on the stream. So it works pretty well. I like it. All right, let's do our next heat. Last one on shaping the outside. We're going to start shaping the inside of the eye after this one. Maybe if I can get it out of the forge, that would help. I think we're all right. So we're going to flip this over like so. I'm going to put that on that side over there, and we're going to swap tongs. Let's see, what's going to be our best set of tongs? Are these tongs going to be all right for this? Probably not the best. Let's try a different set. How about these tongs? These tongs might work pretty well. Yeah, these will work beautifully. So we're going to use these tongs as our next set of tongs. And we're going to heat up this side and use the drift to open up that hole a little bit further. Yeah, it's a good vibe. I think it is. There's a few more tools that I'd like to acquire here and there, but overall, I've got a pretty nice shop. A pretty nice shop. All right, let's move the camera over to the Pritchel. Actually, ooh, that's a question. I think we're actually going to do this at the post vise, now that I think about it. And the reason for that is because my Pritchel hole is just not big enough to do what we need to do. It's just not wide enough. It is a 3/4 inch Hardy. And we need to make up another inch, or 2 inches actually. Another 2 inches. All right, so I'm going to put it that direction so I have a decent amount of stuff. All right, so if that's the case, then we're going to move some of my stuffies. Let's move this guy over there. These can go away. That can go down there. This can go over there. Okay, I think we're good. We've got a pretty decent setup over here. We've got the first drift. We've got our second drift. I think we're all right. We've got a nice glove. So we can hold our drift. All right. This one, we need this too. This is our water so that we can make sure to cool off the sections that are a little on the thinner side. We want to make sure that we cool down thinner sections so we are only moving material into thicker areas. All right. We ready, guys? I think we're ready. I think we're ready. All right. More heat. Drekken Dwarf Iron. Hello, hello. Welcome to the stream. I feel like it's been a while since we've seen ya. Welcome, welcome. Welcome, welcome. How you doing? Yeah, I've been fantastic. Yeah, I've been doing pretty darn good. We are working on an axe today. And we are finally to that point where we're just trying to open up the eye. I've shaped up the axe to the point where I'm ready to grind it. We've got a little bit that we need to cut off of the front and the back. So now I'm just trying to open it up so it'll fit on a handle accurately. And then we'll be able to use it after we grind it, right? It's nice and flat. So there's not a lot of grinding that we got to do, but we got to do a little bit here and there. So yeah, I'm super excited. I'm glad that I'm here. Last week I was a little bit on the sick side, and so you can kind of still hear it in my voice a little bit. I'm a little nasally, but I'm feeling a lot better. So I am glad that you are fantastic. I'm pretty fantastic as well. But yeah, we are finishing up our axe project. So if I don't think that we're going to do the grinding and handling on Friday during stream. I think what we're going to do is we are going to start a brand new project on Friday, and that project is going to be working with some railroad spikes. I am probably going to make a sharp out of one. I haven't decided if it's going to be a tomahawk or if it's going to be a knife. It will probably be a knife though, because I just did an axe. And then just saw the end of the last heat before you put it back in. It's looking good. See, I think so too. There's a couple thin spots that I'm trying to be a little bit more careful with and move the material a lot less. But I I'm pretty happy overall with it. So yeah, the other thing that I'm looking into doing is either making a railroad spike bottle opener or maybe a stake flipper. I haven't decided yet. We're going to do a classic railroad spike project, and then we're going to do a sharp with a railroad spike. We're going to do 2 projects, and that's kind of going to take up Friday and then most of next week probably. I think the sharp is going to take a little bit longer than just doing, a bottle opener or a stake flipper. We might do that one first. I don't know. We'll see. But I want to do a couple of shorter projects, and then maybe I'll think about how I want to do another long-term project and then a more complicated one. All right. I apparently set this glove on fire, and I did not realize it. That's always fun. Oh, I remember how I did that. That's a good variety. I try to, because, I try to do some like really quick projects and then some really longer projects. That way I have lots of material for editing and putting up on YouTube for full project videos. I'm also trying to do some a little bit longer. Normally my videos are in the 5-minute range. I'm starting to try and go 10, 20-minute long project videos, so we'll see. I know railroad spikes make for good tomahawks. The lower carbon makes them pretty tough. Yes, they don't stay sharp amazingly well, but they do last pretty good. Also, you were burning the glove on the last heat drifting. Was I? That's not terribly surprising to me. I won't lie. All right, let's do another heat. Hopefully I don't burn my glove. Hopefully. Maybe I'll be, smart about it and not hang my hand over, that area. Whoops. Yeah, I am definitely losing a whole bunch of heat right now. I apologize for that. Here we go. Much more better. Alright, we're starting to get towards the end of this drift. We're going to be able to use the secondary drift here shortly, a little bit further, and we'll be ready. So another heat. Another heat. That's a nice glow. I try to keep it at a nice glow. Alright. Ew. I dropped my tongs on the ground and they're kind of wet. And there's a bunch of like nasty steel dust on the ground, so now it's on my hands. The axe or ray. I don't know. I think the axe has the glow. I do have a little bit of a glow of, sweat, because it's kind of hot today. And women, they don't sweat. We just glisten. Yeah. Will some coal sprinkle help the heat anymore, or is that just early on? So the coal sprinkles what that is for is that is to make sure that I don't lock the drift onto the material. So it works a lot, or it's more useful in the beginning when you're really trying to open up that hole. Now that the hole is open, the weight of the axe itself helps get the material or the axe head off of the drift. So I know that you can't really see it, but all I'm doing to get the head of the axe off the drift is slamming it on the face of the anvil once or twice, and it falls right off of there. So the coal dust, it's kind of a lubricant, so that I don't spend like half my time like trying to get the drift off of the axe again. I'm keeping that quote. Yes, ladies don't sweat, they just glisten. That is not my water. This is my water. I feel like a painter, right? You got a painter, they got their paint water and they got their coffee, and sometimes you pick up the paint water thinking it's the coffee. That's what's happening with my water bottle here. I keep picking it up, I keep looking at it thinking it's this water bottle for me to drink. All right, so we might actually need a little bit of that coal dust lubricant when we switch to the other drift, right? Because there is a chance that this drift is a little bit wider than that drift, so it might take us a little bit of extra effort to get this one on there. So we might need a little bit of coal dust, but I'm not entirely sure if it's going to be necessary or not. We'll kind of take a look and see as we go. All right. Ladies also don't fart, they fluff. Yeah. That actually reminds, I used to have this ex-boyfriend who I had convinced for like an hour, I swear, an hour, that women didn't use the bathroom, that the only reason that we all went to the bathroom is because we just sat there and talked about people. And that's why women go to the bathroom in groups. But, you know, it only lasted about an hour. At the risk of being crude, I have a friend who accidentally drank their own brush water while painting watercolors. Apparently, it's a quick way to, yeah, I can imagine it would be a quick way to clean out your system. I can imagine, yeah. All right, but that's also why, like, the watercolors that you send with your kids to school are non-toxic, right? So that doesn't happen. Okay, let's do another heat. Whoopsie! I dropped my water. Let me grab that real fast, and then we will continue working. All right. All right, I think we're going to be good with like 1 or 2 more heats with this drift, and then we'll move on. Unintended canvas, right? Ugh, keep doing that. All right, let's take a look at this. All right, so we are going to put it in this way. Hopefully we can open up the piece this direction. We're about as open as I'm comfy doing on that side. So let's do this first, and we'll see what we've got after that. Okay. I need to make an axe drift. Well, don't make it as small as this one. This axe drift is super, super small. You need something that's a little bit closer to this guy because otherwise your handles are going to constantly break on you. This one is a little bit easier to keep handles intact. This one is 2.5 inches at its widest point. This one is 1 3/4 inches. So now they are step drifts. Getting super sweaty. I have an old forklift tying around back or in the back of the shop. I think they're usually 4140 and already tapered into a wedge at the end. So half the work is done. That is awesome. I wish I had that as an advantage, but unfortunately I do not. I have an axle, like a truck axle, and that's what I made the bigger one from. I actually bought a piece of around 4140 and made that one out of. But it wasn't, or like the diameter of it just wasn't big enough to get an adequately sized axe drift. Don't make that mistake, otherwise you'll end up with this, where I had to like shave down the handle, and I swear it would break if you tried to use it. How thick is the small drift? I don't remember. I think it's 3/4 inches. Because I used the dimensions of a hammer handle when I made it. So a hammer drift usually is around 1 3/4, or like the eye for a hammer is usually about 1 3/4 inches long, about 3/4 inches wide. So that's kind of why I made this drift in the size that I did. So, I mean, maybe I could use it as a hammer drift if I switched directions over and over, but it is still a teardrop profile for it. So it would be a little bit more challenging to work on the cheeks using this particular drift. You'd get like the edges in the sizes that you needed it to be, but you probably would have a bit of bowing toward that center. You wouldn't get an oval hole. You'd kind of get, I don't know, like 2 rounds with like a little interior edges, maybe. All right. do another heat. All right, we're getting there. We're getting there. Whew. What kind of steel is the axe head? It's 4140. It's 4140. All right, we're not quite the right size for this one yet. Always annoying. All right. We're getting there, though. All right. We have an ad that's going to be starting in about a minute and a half. And once that ad starts, or once it ends, I don't know. We might have enough heat to do another round. We are trying to get as far down this drift as possible. We're getting there slowly but surely. But if we've reached 2.5 hours and I'm not quite there, I'll finish it tomorrow. I've got a little bit of a few tricks up my sleeve I might be able to use to kind of expand it out. Still, not my beverage. This is my beverage. I have no idea what flavor this is. We've been buying the little Gatorade packets. And so there are 4 flavors. We've got orange, we've got pink, we've got light blue and dark blue. But I don't know which, I don't know, maybe that's the light blue flavor. It's kind of awkward because you can't see the color. It's all like clear, like the liquid inside. Even with the powder, it doesn't have the color like Kool-Aid does. Or like the original Gatorade. So it's a little bit odd. Those are colors, not flavors. Well, Gatorade doesn't really have flavors. It's more like they have colors, you know? I mean, I think it's called like Frost or something, but that's not a flavor. Ads have started over on Twitch. Once those ads are over, we should be able to continue drifting our Axe Eye. Back, missed what you said. Oh, I just said that Gatorade doesn't really have flavors. They have things like Frost. Frost is not a flavor. Frost is a state of matter for water. You know, and then they have like, what is it? Cool Blue or something like that is another one. They've got Fruit Punch. That's kind of a flavor. But yeah. So it's like, I don't really know how to describe the different flavors. I think that one is the light blue one. Mix flavors all together and become Gatorade. I know. I could mix all the flavors together and become like some kind of Voltron. Woo. I don't have any robots though. I feel like it would be less fun without the robots. All right. We are out of ad time, so let me check my camera just to make sure that I'm not running out of time on that. And I am. Okay, so we're gonna go a little bit closer, as close as I dare to go. As close as I dare to go. And then hopefully it's in focus. Hopefully it's in focus. All right, let's try this. As I trip over my welding cables. Mascot ideas, right? I think we're gonna go that direction, I think. Okay, so I want this one over here. That one can go over there for now. This goes this way. That goes in there like so. Ah, I'm like getting water everywhere. Getting water everywhere. It would help if I could like get on top of my my chair. I'm having trouble getting the power from all the way up here. Alright. Okay. We'll probably do one more heat with this drift, and then we'll probably see about maybe switching to this drift. I don't know. We'll see. But I'm having a lot of trouble getting the height that I need for the power, so we'll see how well this goes. It's ironic, but blacksmithing noises are ASMR for me. Well, you know, I've heard that before. My aim is not ASMR, but I understand. So honestly, my aim for this channel and for both YouTube and the Twitch channel is to highlight blacksmithing as an art form and kind of point you guys, or, you know, teach you everything that I know about blacksmithing, and then point you towards somebody who can teach you more directly and, you know, more stuff, right? I'm kind of still learning my stuff around here, so I mean, I'm not the best teacher in the world, but you know, there are a lot of amazing blacksmiths out there who are more than willing to hang out and teach people. So yeah, that's why I do things like the blacksmithing roundup videos, where I talk about different area or like chapters of the ABANA group, the Artist Blacksmith Association of North America. I'm trying to expand my reach a little bit. Right now, we're mostly in the Midwestern area. We got everywhere from like Ohio, Indiana, Missouri, Tennessee, a little bit of Arkansas, like just different areas all around the Midwest. I want to expand to the entire country, but I'm just not quite there yet. Nothing makes me fall asleep quicker than the rhythmic hammering of John Switzer, Black Bear Forge. John Switzer is an amazing blacksmith. He is so informative. If you have questions about blacksmithing, you know, he has the answers for you. He's got so many amazing videos over there on his channel. It's a YouTube channel. He also has a, I believe he's on Facebook. Is he on TikTok? I haven't found him over there yet. But I don't really have much in the way of TikTok blacksmithing on my algorithm these days, ever since I stopped posting. But yes, and then there's also Alex Steele. He doesn't do a lot of hand hammering, but he is an amazing blacksmith as well. He's based out of England. So yeah. Okay, let's do another heat. Whoa! Drop forge, guys, drop forge. This side is the one I need. All right. All right, that's getting pretty darn hot. So I think that's all she wrote with this drift. So we're gonna use the other drift, I think, or maybe we're gonna try to, or we're gonna drop that one. That one works too. Alec has a whole modern machine shop to support his blacksmithing habit. He does, man. He does. Okay. So I cannot get this in there. I think I need to nip off the end of this before I'm going to get it in there, because I've got a weird angle on there and it's not wanting to get in. So I think my best bet is actually just to nip the end off. We'll see. I don't know if I can actually do that on stream right now. Let me check to see what time it is. There's also some dwarf guy who's always drunk, but he's rubbish. You are a great blacksmith as well. You are a great blacksmith as well. All right. I do think that I'm probably going to end the stream right now because I'm having a little bit of trouble transitioning between the smaller drift and the larger drift. Like I said earlier, I am going to need to nip off the end because I should have done it before and I didn't. So we only have about 15 minutes left in our stream, so I think it's probably going to take about that much time to nip this off. So I will finish the rest of this tomorrow to like finish it up. I will show you guys what it turns out as on Friday, and yeah. You are too kind. Well, thank you. Well, I mean, you know, I love blacksmithing and I love fellow blacksmiths, you know. So yeah, we are going to probably raid off. We'll end this on Twitch. We'll probably end the stream over on YouTube, but yeah, I will do my best to have this finished up for you guys to see on Friday. Good job surviving the heat. Thanks for the stream, Sia. Well, thank you, Mahalo, for joining me. But yeah, so it should be a lot closer to finished on Friday. So we're gonna raid off. And again, we will be doing the railroad spike projects. It was good seeing you, Ray. Well, thank you for joining me. And you too, Shelly. Thank you. Let's see. Who's around to raid off to? Well, you guys are welcome. I will continue streaming as long as you guys are around to support me, you know? Let's see. Who do we got? Looks like we are going to find somebody new to raid off to. Let's see. Oh, wow. That would be fun, but... All right. That. Is that what I think it is? Let me see if that's what I think it is. Ooh, that looks like fun. Wood turning. All right, guys, thank you so much for joining me today. Have a wonderful rest of your day. I will be back on Friday. I hope to see you then. Thank you guys so much. Bye.